Hello, I'm Philip Stoden. I'm here at Productronica 2025 and I'm joined by Brigil from SiliconExpert's. It was great to see you last night at the Luminova event, and it was really interesting to listen to Dieter and Zava talking about the problems and challenges in the industry, and you talk a little bit more about the solutions, and I'm always happy to hear about solutions than problems. Talk me through a little bit of what you were explaining last night and some of the challenges that are facing the electronic manufacturing supply chain at the moment.
Yeah, so the disruptions in the global market has been affecting Europe's supply chain pretty hard this year. So as I mentioned yesterday, there is on one side there is natural disasters like earthquakes, factory fires, tsunamis, and extreme cold weather, extreme hot weather, cyclones. So $300 billion has been spent economically for the impact in natural disasters alone in 2025.
Yeah.
So OEMs, EMS, automotive, defense, medical, they need to monitor all of these events. They need to understand where their parts are coming from and how these events are going to affect them.
Yeah.
Obviously, in 2025, natural disaster is not the only point.
There's lots of other stuff going on. We're creating our own problems as well. Yeah.
There's tariffs, sanctions. Tariffs is something that changes every day. Depending on the mood of certain people, it keeps on changing. Sanctions, trade wars, geopolitical issues. There is an impact on this as well in European supply chain because there are components that are coming from different parts of the world, and this geopolitical issues is something that OEMs and EMSs need to monitor.
Yeah, and be aware of, absolutely.
So that's another issue. The next issue is obsolescence.
Yeah.
As you know, component manufacturers, they have AI and machine learning and ChatGPT and Gemini. So they have competition as well, which motivates them to innovate faster than ever before, right?
Yeah.
Just in 2025, there has been over 300,000 components that has gone obsolete in 2025.
Wow.
So probably a component, so engineers, they usually spend 2 or 3 years for designing a new product. When they chose the component, it might have been active for at least 10 years, but when the production is going to start, they find out that that component is in NR&D or last time buy, or it's already obsolete. So then they have to start scratch it and start redesigning, looking for alternative, and that is one huge challenge. The next challenge is on compliance and environmental data. Like there's ROHs, REACH regulation, PFAS, DSCA. There is rare earth minerals as well, so companies need to understand what are the materials that are going inside each component. So as we all know, copper, gold prices has been increasing. These are critical materials that are used inside components. So when price of raw materials are increasing, the price of the components are also going to increase. And of course, everyone's trying to reduce their carbon footprint, so they need to understand where
how far they've come from, how much they've traveled.
So the way to calculate the carbon footprint of a product is you have to calculate the carbon footprint of each component that is there inside the PCB or inside the component. That's how you have to calculate it. So these are 4 of the most important data points that what I hear customers are asking us about. Gathering all of this data manually is impossible task. There's purchasing needs to look at it, supply chain, engineering, quality department, sustainability department, they all have to do. So that is where SiliconExpert as a company is standing on the frontier, because we are gathering all of this data and bring it in and showing it in front of the customer. We're not doing anything with the data. We're just presenting the raw data in front of the customer. Where is the part coming from? Where is the fabrication side, the wafer side, the assembly side? What events are happening in each of the site location? What is the estimated years to end of life of a component? We have developed an algorithm that can calculate how long a component is going to stay active in the market. So we've used AI and machine learning. We take into account the introduction date of the component, the technology used in the component, the reputation of the manufacturer, how long the manufacturer usually keeps their parts active in the market. Based on, we can predict how long this component is going to stay. You can predict its
obsolescence.
That's the importance of data. So bringing all of this data in one place is when the OEM or EMS, they will get an advantage. Because if they can do this, it is a competitive advantage, because their competition is probably not knowing about it.
I think what's interesting when I look at that is it's typical of just about every problem in the industry. What you've got to do is you've got to connect and bubble up a huge amount of data, a ridiculously lakes and lakes of data. But people want to use that data in the most agile and adaptable possible way. So you've got to be able to put watch signals in there. You've got to be able to put flags in there. You've got to be able to say when this part has got a number of components that are becoming obsolete, or this assembly, how do we deal with that? You've got to somehow extract intelligence from that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're doing at SiliconExpert's, or is that something you do in collaboration with other partners like Luminovo, for example?
So a bit of both. So we at SiliconExpert we have our own platform as well, where customers can easily find all the component data. They can upload their BOMs, and they can set up alerts on the BOMs as well. So in case there is a change in life cycle, or there is a supply chain event happening in somewhere around APAC, or there is an obsolescence, or there is a compliance change. As you know, REACH is something that changes twice every year. So once a component changes its compliance status, the customer can get alerted about it, either through our platform, or data is very important. As you said, it's important to get this data into the hands of the software or the platform which customers use every day. So that's how Luminovo has become one of our partners, because it is a tool used by a lot of people from procurement and supply chain. And we have put our data into this platform. Similarly, about 2 years back, we have signed a partnership with Altium. Altium Designer, one of the biggest designing software out there. So design engineers, when they are designing itself, they can make a check and look if this component is active, if it is compliant, if the country of origin is somewhere good, where they don't have any restriction to work with that country. They can do it right in the beginning stages while designing the PCB, rather than at the end stage after designing. Then they find out there's a problem with an issue, and then they have to start from scratch again. So similarly, we have partnerships with PLM software, ERP software, EDA softwares, RFQ softwares. Data is key, right? So the idea that we have is to bring this data into everyone's hand, whether it's through our online platform or it's via API.
And you deliver that data in a real time way, and by doing that, they can use whichever tool they're using to flag potential problems.
Exactly. The advantage of what we do is we accept data only from the component manufacturer. We do not accept any other sources of information. We also get data from authorized distributors, so that's just for stock price and lead time. The rest of the component information, certifications, is all data coming from the manufacturer. This data normally sits in our platform. Every few weeks it gets updated and refreshed, so the customer can get the latest data for each component. Something that we are seeing right now is a lot of the big OEMs, they are designing their own internal softwares to manage supply chain. And obviously they cannot gather all of this data.
They want the data source.
Exactly. So they are connecting it with SiliconExpert API to get our data into their internal softwares. Plus they have their own internal data as well in one place. And it's meant for collaboration between procurement, engineering, supply chain, quality. Everyone can collaborate and get one single source of truth.
And if they want to run what-if scenarios, if they want to think about, well, if we switch to a particular geography, or there's suddenly a tariff on a particular location from whatever, for whatever whim that tariff comes from, are they able to run that on the system and say, hey, that would impact this number of products, these are the components we need to be concerned about, maybe we should put them on a bit of a watch list, that kind of thing?
Exactly, So there is a way that we monitor tariffs as well. So there is a list online where there is mentioned all the list of countries and the associated tariffs. We're following that list as well to inform customer what is the potential impact of tariffs. We list all of the countries of origin. So a part could come from China, it could come from Japan, could come from Taiwan, could come from Malaysia. We don't know where it's going to come. Only once the customer places an order with their distributor, only then they will know where the part is going to come from. So we list all of the possible countries of origin, and we tell the customer that this part could have a potential for 0 or 60% tariffs. Only once they make an order with the distributor, they can know where exactly it's going to come from.
That's a challenge, isn't it? That, you've got to be able to get ahead of that, and at least be able to predict where most of those components are coming from. But even when you look below the components and you get to those precious metals that are involved in there, they tend to be locked into a smaller choice of countries anyway. So
exactly. So the challenge over here is that this is not publicly available data. Country of origin is publicly available data. But country of origin could be anywhere.
And then next 2 tiers down, the country of origin is is indeed a bit of a mystery.
So probably they just connect 2 wires in Germany, and then the country of origin is Germany.
It's Germany,
right?
yeah.
But everything on the back end, the fabrication, the wafers, test, the assembly, is probably somewhere else around the world. So that is what customers need to know. Because knowing that is when you get this supply chain transparency. Knowing where exactly and how, which is the route, how the components are coming and reaching Germany or wherever you're based out.
Yeah, and I hear it all the time with EMS companies saying, oh, we've had a request from one customer to take China out of our bill of materials. I'm like, well, you might be taking China out of the first level of your bill of materials, but you're definitely not taking it out at the next level down. You need a lot of data to be able to do that, and you need that data to be available in an agile way that you can interrogate it really quickly. So the work you're doing there is really important. I enjoyed the presentation last night because I felt you not only understood the problem, but you were bringing solutions, and that's what people are at those events to listen to.
The reason why I know the problem is because customers come asking us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then when customers ask us for it, what I usually do is I ask them, why do you need this data? And then they give the explanation. So I understand what is happening in the industry because customers come to us requesting this data, and I'm someone who's curious about this industry as well. So I ask them, why you need this data? What are you going to do with this data? How is this data relevant? So I understand what's the problem. Exactly. So one other important topic in the market right now is the rare earth element. So China has recently banned some rare earth elements to be exported. And germanium, gallium, antimony, bismuth. And these are critical components which are used in manufacturing of components. And if customers cannot, if the component manufacturers cannot get these raw materials, there is going to be a shortage
of those components.
So that's why customers are trying to foresee this in advance, trying to understand if any component inside their BOM
requires
has any
those materials.
Of these materials. Because if they do, it's the right time to call their distributor and get a large stock before they run out of. Because if not, they have 2 options. One is to do a redesign. It's a very expensive.
Very expensive process.
Second, buy the part
and it's
from
not overnight either. And the broker option is an expensive, is even more expensive. Yeah, no, it's fascinating, isn't it? And I think what you've got to do there is provide that data in a responsible way, because you don't want to hype up chip crises that don't exist, but you really do want to flag the potential risk, and actually scoring bill of materials and parts on bill of materials with risk is hugely valuable particularly to EMS companies, because they're the guys that generally end up with the inventory. So I like what you're doing. I like the level of collaboration that you're creating, both in your customers, but also with people like Luminovo in the industry. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for taking part last night, and thanks for stopping by today.
Nice talking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.